Hi, and welcome back to the Today's Soapbox podcast. This episode accompanies the article Benito Bowl, Why is a Bad Bunny Super Bowl Halftime Show So Controversial? The article was originally published November 10th, 2025, and I will be reading the article as written in the web version with minor adjustments for the audio format. This episode will also be available in Spanish. The podcast is sponsored by the Today's Soapbox website, which you can access at today's-soapbox.com. If you want to support the work I'm doing there to promote independent journalism, you can find details on the website on how to support with your engagement and money if you're willing. My name is S, and I am the main writer for Today's Soapbox. I could not tell you who played in last year's Super Bowl, but I sure can tell you who performed at the halftime show. Countless videos of Kendrick Lamar's show have appeared on social media feeds across a variety of platforms. Creators broke down the layers of metaphors and political commentary woven throughout his set and further spread his message to an audience outside Super Bowl viewers. He also made history as then newly inaugurated President Trump was in attendance, the first sitting president to attend the game. This next year's halftime performer, Bad Bunny, is expected to deliver a similarly stirring message to his audience. Super Bowl LX, or 60, is set to take place on Sunday, February 8th, 2026, at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The Super Bowl is one of the most watched events in the United States, with the best American football team from each of the two conferences playing against each other in one final championship. The previous Super Bowl, 59, attracted an average audience of 127.7 million viewers, which is a 3% increase from the previous year. One cherished part of the Super Bowl is the halftime show, which occurs, as the name suggests, between the two halves of the football game. Currently, the show to entertain the audience during the break between active playtime is headlined by a popular artist who is announced in advance. The halftime show has gone through many iterations. It started as a marching band performance, often featuring a band from a nearby university or high school. Later, in the 1970s and 80s, celebrities joined these bands to perform together. In the 1990s, major artists began headlining the show, with famous names like Michael Jackson and Diana Ross gracing the stage. Now, the performers are selected by the National Football League, or NFL, with Apple Music and Rock Nation, an entertainment company owned by musician Jay-Z. On September 28, 2025, the headlining performer for Super Bowl 60 was announced, Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, or Benito Martinez Ocasio, has had an incredibly successful 2025. On January 5, 2025, he released his sixth studio album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos. The album was met with wild success, topping charts and being played around the world. He also joined the Saturday Night Live Homecoming concert on February 14th, was a musical guest on May 17th, and hosted on October 4th. He was featured in the films Happy Gilmore 2 with Adam Sandler and Caught Stealing with Austin Butler. Following this growing momentum, Bad Bunny hosted a 31-concert residency at Coliseo de Puerto Rico in San Juan, the capital of his home country of Puerto Rico. This residency, called No Me Quiero Ir de Aquí, which translates to I Don't Want to Leave Here, drew attention to the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria in 2017 and brought tourists, including celebrities, to the island to see his show. It is undeniable that Bad Bunny is one of this year's most globally prominent figures in pop culture. Despite this popularity, he decided to bypass the United States when announcing his world tour. When asked why he would not be performing in the U.S., he replied, quote, "There were many reasons why I didn't show up in the U.S., and none of them were out of hate. But there was the issue of bleeping ICE could be outside my concert." End quote. ICE refers to United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, who have been sent by President Trump to conduct raids at workplaces, apartment buildings, and courthouses as part of Trump's promised mass deportation plans. On September 28, 2025, Bad Bunny took to X and wrote, quote, "I've been thinking about it these days, and after talking with my team, I think I'll do just one date in the United States." End quote. Fans were immediately curious as to when and where this one show would be. Lo and behold, it was the Super Bowl. The media reaction was swift. Conservative figures were quick to criticize this decision. President Donald Trump to Greg Kelly of Newsmax, quote, "I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is. I don't know why they're doing it. It's crazy. I think it's absolutely ridiculous." End quote. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to Benny Johnson of The Benny Show. Quote, "The Department of Homeland Security is responsible for keeping the Super Bowl safe. We'll be all over that place. I think people should not be coming to the Super Bowl unless they are law-abiding Americans who love this country." End quote. Corey Lewandowski, advisor to Secretary Noem to Benny Johnson of The Benny Show. Quote, "There is nowhere that you can provide safe haven to people who are in this country illegally. Not the Super Bowl and nowhere else. We will find you. We will apprehend you. We will put you in a detention facility, and we will deport you." End quote. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson to Pablo Manriquez of Pablo Reports. Quote, "I didn't even know who Bad Bunny was, but it sounds like a terrible decision in my view from what I'm hearing. Well, it sounds like he's not someone who appeals to a broader audience. I think, there's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that, not somebody like this." End quote. Bad Bunny responded to this backlash in his opening monologue as the host of the season 51 premiere of SNL. He spoke to the audience in Spanish about the impact of immigrants on the U.S. and how their influence cannot be erased. He followed that up in English, saying, "And if you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn." Part of the conservative backlash to Bad Bunny's involvement included calls to boycott the halftime show and instead turn to an alternative show produced by Turning Point USA. TPUSA is a nonprofit organization that promotes conservative values and politics in 3,500 plus schools, 2,000 plus student groups, and 800 plus faith groups. They identify with Christianity and were co-founded by Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist and Trump ally who was killed on September 10, 2025, at a TPUSA debate at Utah Valley University. The All-American Halftime Show, hosted by TPUSA, has not confirmed any participating artists at the time of writing, but is accepting feedback in a poll for which genres of music audiences would like to see. Their tagline is "Celebrating Faith, Family, and Freedom." Note from the time of recording, I'm recording on December 29th, 2025. I opened the official American Halftime Show website, and they have not announced any performers. However, there are lots of AI images of everyone from Willie Nelson to Dolly Parton on a poster for the event. So none of that has been confirmed officially by Turning Point USA on their website. Their website still says that, let's see, let me quote it directly. "More info and musical artists to be announced." So that's the update at the time of recording. The name of this alternative show implies that it contrasts the official Super Bowl halftime show by being all-American. This idea is misguided. Let me be clear. Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. Puerto Ricans are Americans. In order to restore traditional American values, as the TPUSA website claims is their mission, we must explore what it means to be American. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. Puerto Rican people are U.S. citizens. Bad Bunny was born in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, making him also a U.S. citizen. The Apple Music halftime show already features an American artist. It is not less American than the proposed TPUSA show. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on X on October 6th, characterizing Bad Bunny's upcoming performance as unwanted, perverse, demonic, and sexual, while advocating for English to be made the official language of the United States. English was designated as the official language of the United States on March 1st, 2025, by order of President Trump. The stated goal was assimilation, saying, quote, "In welcoming new Americans, a policy of encouraging the learning and adoption of our national language will make the United States a shared home and empower new citizens to achieve the American dream." End quote. In regard to speaking Spanish as a traditional American value, President Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers, was actually in support of learning Spanish. He wrote to his future son-in-law, Thomas Mann Randolph Jr., in 1787, quote, "Next to French, the Spanish is most important to an American. Our connection with Spain is already important and will become daily more so. Besides this, the ancient part of American history is written chiefly in Spanish." End quote. Jefferson even encouraged his children to learn Spanish. He wrote to Elizabeth Wales Epps about the education of his daughter, Mary Jefferson Epps, known as Polly. He left Polly with Elizabeth, saying, quote, I have insisted on her reading 10 pages a day in her Spanish Don Quixote and getting a lesson in her Spanish grammar, end quote. While Jefferson was multilingual and a world traveler, it is also important to remember that this did not lead to equal or ethical treatment of everyone. He enslaved human beings under the system of chattel slavery. He took one, Sally Hemings, as a concubine and fathered children with her who remained secret for over a century. His status as a founding father in the early days of the United States of America does not exempt him from responsibility. So, being multilingual is a common part of American culture still today. Over 41 million Americans speak Spanish in their home in the U.S. Spanish-speaking Puerto Rican people are Americans. Bad Bunny is not the first halftime performer to be born outside the continental contiguous U.S. Previous performers included Paul McCartney in 2005, who was born in Liverpool, England, Shakira in 2020, who was born in Barranquilla, Colombia, alongside Jennifer Lopez, and Rihanna in 2023, who was born in St. Michael, Barbados. A Puerto Rican artist performing in Spanish is actually perfectly in line with the American ideals intended at the nation's founding. Bad Bunny is American, and speaking Spanish is American. Is it possible that the right wing of American politics objects to this selection for another reason? Bad Bunny endorsed Trump's political opponent, Kamala Harris, in the 2024 presidential race after comedian Tony Hinchcliffe made offensive comments at a Trump rally at Madison Square Garden. Hinchcliffe said, quote, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico, end quote. These comments were criticized by Republicans like Puerto Rico's GOP leader Angel Cintron and Representative Maria Elvira Salazar, the Trump campaign via spokeswoman Danielle Alvarez, and other Puerto Rican artists like Luis Fonsi. Bad Bunny is perceived as an outsider to American culture, which puts him in an interesting spot in the broader context of mass deportations and a desire to homogenize as a people. Embracing his heritage and identity as a Puerto Rican man through his musical expression, he does not fit in this picture. Bad Bunny has not been quiet about his political opinions in the past. El Apagón was accompanied by a documentary about the power outages due to Hurricane Maria, displacement, and gentrification. Lo que le pasó a Hawaii compares the gentrification of Hawaii after it gained statehood with the future Puerto Rico could face under those circumstances. Pitchfork writes, quote, on the ideological centerpiece of Debí tirar más fotos, the Puerto Rican rapper reckons with what happens after the vacation ends and the tourists go home. End quote. Turista also explores tourism and its effects. Standing in opposition to Trump comes with risks, but Bad Bunny's audience has never been strictly American. Conservative Americans upset about what he has said represent a very small fraction of his listeners. A rising tide of anti-Latina sentiment is sweeping across the U.S. as ICE's presence spreads and prominent figures openly mock Latina culture. This performance will occur at a critical point in U.S. history. 2025's performer, Kendrick Lamar, took the opportunity to continue his critiques of Drake, anti-Black oppression, and the Trump administration during his performance on one of the world's biggest stages. Time will tell how Bad Bunny will choose to use this platform, but it is undeniably a massive opportunity. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next episode.